Shit. No, you stay over there. All right, guys, look, I'm gonna do this via live version because I don't have time to edit videos today. I've already put up 2. And if you look over here behind me, I have a job to do. I'm off of work and I have to build a fire pit. So today I'll be building a fire pit out of cinder blocks, but I wanted to talk about what happened last night. So I was involved in a hands-on situation. This is not uncommon. It happens. I work in Portland. You know, Portland is a very dangerous area, and it has a lot of issues being here in Portland. But when I got home last night, I had a couple of thoughts. I always kind of, you know, assess what happened and go over the situation and think about what could have been different, how things could have been better, how things could have gone worse. Yeah, Howard, I am good, and I'm going to get to that. That's kind of what I'm talking about. I am a little shaken up because I want to talk about, you know, some things here, but let me get to my first point here. I see so many things on YouTube in relation to not only security guards, but self-defense, self-protection, the Second Amendment, everyday carry. And a lot of times the videos will be, you know, real world training or real world scenarios or, you know, tactical based training. And one of the things that I want to share with you guys is that generally, in my experience, nothing goes as planned. Like, no matter what you can think about, no matter what you can plan for, it just doesn't work out in a rational manner or in a way that it should. And I can't really articulate it any better than that. It's just that things just don't go the way that you expect that they would. Now, because of my job, the company that I work for, and the place that I work, I can't go into great detail about things. All use of force incidents, they go into a special use of force paperwork, and it's all legal. So, you know, I can't give you guys the rundown of everything, but I will give you the basic gist. We had a person that was being trespassed and asked to leave and produced a 12-inch knife, okay? Now, in a law enforcement setting, and this is where I try to have these conversations with the people on this page, and a lot of times it becomes an argument. It becomes a back and forth on whether or not I'm trying to be too middle of the road, or whether I'm trying to not, you know, do my job or follow my job to the utmost. And that couldn't be the furthest from the truth. But we're not cops. We're not. And we're also, when we're in uniform and we're working, we're also not civilians, right? So in any situation where you're dealing with someone that has produced a 12-inch knife, and this person is being irrational, they're being belligerent, they're being threatening, if you're a police officer, you have a multitude of ways that you can handle that, a multitude of ways that you can deal with that, quite literally up to deadly force, right? If you are a civilian in that situation, you are under no obligation to wait and see what this person is going to do, and you have within your realm of opportunity to do a lot of things to mitigate that situation. But working in security, specifically when you're representing a corporate company and you're working for a corporate entity, a lot of what we do in this career, someone once told me that you can get a job knowing what to do in a situation. You get a career and you make lots of money, 6 figures, by knowing what not to do. Let me say that again. You can get almost any job if you know or can be taught what to do. Very few people will get a career and make 6 figures and above by understanding what not to do. That is what separates your run-of-the-mill, stand at a door, look at the sidewalk security guard, and someone who is atypical, okay? That's into that little rant. But being in that realm and understanding that does not take away the very fear that comes with being in a situation like I was in last night. When you go to get your OC certification for pepper spray, I don't know if you guys had a different experience, but when I was going through as a corrections officer in county jail, when I got recertified again as a state constable, when I took the courses myself as a security guard back in 2020 and then recerting again in 2021, I didn't have one person explain to me that certain people, you know, pepper spray, pepper gel, it just doesn't have an effect on them. Aside from that, certain people that live a certain type of lifestyle, drug abusers, people that live on the street, people that fight every fucking day, their response to things like pepper gel, to things like tasers, even being hit with an asp or a baton, it's completely different than what you would expect for you or for me, right? Like your average normal person, we're gonna have a different, you know, sympathetic response to pain. But someone who lives a certain lifestyle, someone who does certain things with their life or lives a certain way, they don't respond the same way. And in all of the classes that I've gone through, all the training that I've done, very little, if ever, is talked about what to do in a situation when someone doesn't respond to that less than lethal, non-lethal use of force, right? So if you pepper spray someone and you empty the entire bottle, you empty the entire can. Guys, I use an M4. The M4 is like the home defense size of saber mace, right? You empty that whole can on a person and they eat it like barbecue sauce. Then what? And then also understanding that if you're using certain companies' mace, right, it's flammable. So if your only option after that is to go to your taser, are you putting yourself in a situation where you might actually set someone on fire? Guys, that happened in a corrections facility. I think there was a trial about that, or maybe it was a police officer or a sheriff's deputy. But if you Google a situation where someone had pepper sprayed someone and then went to a taser, not understanding or not realizing what brand they were using, you're responsible for that. You're liable for that, or you can be, right? Specifically as a security guard. So these are just things to think about, all right? When I see people talking about real world situations, real world based training, you need to do 3 to 5 things. And I'm gonna try and do this directly off the top, okay? Off the top. You need to train grappling with someone who is wet, right? Not just grappling. We talk about getting on the mats, doing jujitsu, but after you pepper spray somebody and they're doused and they're wet and they're slippery, trying to handcuff somebody in that position or in that situation is very, very difficult. And I think that you guys need to make sure that you're training in getting time in that situation, trying to work around your equipment when you go to the ground and everything shifts, right? Like everything that I had on yesterday, after tussling with this guy for 2 to 3 minutes, everything on my body had shifted to a different position. So when you're reaching for those handcuffs and you're still trying to control somebody, right? And they're slippery and you're responding, you are personally responding to that pepper spray, to that saber gel, to that mace. Like all of these things, like they can't be talked about and practiced enough, guys, because it's so important when you're in that situation. And I think I'm about to lose my power here, guys, so I'll make this really quick. That's reality-based training. As much as we want to get on the range, as much as we want to shoot and do mag swaps and all this stuff with the guns, all the cool stuff, the reality is more times than not, it's going to be a wrestling match. And it's going to be a wrestling match that you're not expecting, and it's going to be mitigated with circumstances that you can't think of. You being the one who's responding to the mace, you dealing with someone who's wet and slippery and sweaty, or God knows what else they have on their body. Sometimes they're naked, all kinds of crazy shit, right? So when you're thinking about reality-based training, think about the things that you would never think about, because that's literally what I was dealing with yesterday. I wish I could give you guys more information and talk about more of what happened, but you saw the size of that knife. And shout out to the Portland Police Department, because they got there within 8 minutes, and they came deep. They came with like 5 or 6 people, and I'm thankful for that. I'm grateful for that. I'm very hard on the Portland Police Department. I'm very hard on Portland in general, but they were there last night. They showed up. We were able to detain the guy. We were able to keep him from harming anyone, including himself, and we were able to get everyone home safely. But You know, when I see these things on here talking about reality-based training, I don't see a lot of emphasis on dealing with the things that you're going to deal with, which is being wet, being in a situation where you might be by yourself, hands-on, dealing with people who are on drugs, who are just out of their mind, completely out of your mind. And you just can't understand how dangerous and scary that is when you're in it, okay? And I've been doing this for 2 years, guys. I've been doing this for 2 years. This is not the first time this has happened. But I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling. Maybe I'll make a video later, but it was a rough night last night, and I don't know. Just be careful out there, all right? Be great.